Hello, my name is Amy Sallen. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my presentation, Altering the Script, Pedagogy of Positivity and Visual Thinking Strategies with Special Education Students. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a white woman and I have shoulder-length reddish blonde hair. I'm wearing a black t-shirt with a turquoise necklace. Behind me is a light pink wall with a winter landscape painting. I'm a K1 through 8 visual arts teacher in Boston, and I'm also a figurative oil painter. Now let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Altering the Script, Positivity, Pedagogy of Positivity, and Visual Strategies with Special Education Students. And I really want to add here that this was a Boston Public Schools and Gardner Museum partnership. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Something's going wrong here. It's not going back. We need to start over. I don't know what's going on.
No problem. We can start over. No problem.
Yeah, because it's not going back and it's not moving.
Okay. Yeah, take a moment to just figure out whatever the issue is.
Yeah, I lost the second image. Okay. Do you want me to start from where I am? From the title or from the beginning? Okay, we were frozen.
Yeah, I saw that actually. It looks good on my side. Is everything okay now on your side? Is it moving?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
perfect.
so I can just start from the title page again.
I honestly prefer you do it from the beginning because the way they prefer to have it is with 0 edits, if possible.
Okay, I'm trying to escape. It's not happening. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, let me try again.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to start again, and then I'll share my screen, and we'll go for it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is Amy Sallen. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my presentation, Altering the Script, Pedagogy of Positivity, and Visual Thinking Strategies with Special Education Students. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a white woman and I have shoulder-length reddish blonde hair. I'm wearing a black t-shirt with a turquoise necklace. Behind me is a light pink wall with a winter landscape painting. I'm a K1 through 8 visual arts teacher in Boston and a figurative oil painter. So now I'm going to share my screen. See if I can get into. It's not working. Let me try again. I don't understand what the problem is. Let me just go right there.
No worries. I can edit.
Okay, let's just say, okay, so here we are. Altering the Script, Pedagogy of Positivity and Visual Thinking Strategies with Special Education Students. And I want to make sure people know this was a Boston Public Schools Gardner Museum partnership. Okay, now let's start with some background. During the 2017-18 school year, I participated in a year-long professional development at the Gardner Museum. It's really beautiful here, isn't it? I learned about and used Abigail Housen's Visual Thinking Strategies, VTS, in my art room. I was excited to finally find a method which engages students with art as a personal experience, a discussion, and not a lecture. No one listens to that. VTS involves the development of critical thinking, which can transfer to other subjects. For 4 years, I've used VTS with various populations at my school. This year, as part of my virtual visual arts curriculum, I evaluated the efficacy of VTS for special education students. Looking at pictures and trying to decode them is a great way to develop community, self-confidence, and finally, critical thinking. Why is VTS effective for special education students? There are some simple answers. There are no right or wrong answers. All responses are treated with respect. VTS builds community as students work together to understand the image and build relationships with each other. VTS exposes students to all kinds of visual art as a personal exploration and experience, not a lecture. And the script is the same every time. Culture of silence. The Brazilian educator Paulo Freire identified a culture of silence. This phenomenon occurs when students internalize negative stereotypes about themselves, created and propagated by the dominant social group. For years, I have seen this culture of silence among special education students at my school. Helping to validate and develop their voice was a goal for me. The group that I worked with was a substantially separate, intellectually impaired 7th and 8th grade class. I used the Gardner Museum assessment initially to assess them with a writing prompt. I asked them, what is going on in this particular image you are looking at? And gave them 15 minutes to write. Most did not respond or wrote very little because writing is difficult for them. Afterwards, I tried the same thing, but used their verbal script. And more responded, but many responded with only 1 or 2 word answers. Some didn't raise their hands at all. This frustrating experience was the impetus for my differentiated VTS protocols. Here are the 4 strategies that I developed and implemented in my virtual art classroom. Concurrently, I implemented a differentiated VTS Gardner Museum script. I also developed a pedagogy of positivity, drawing fantasy creatures in the virtual art room. And I also shared academic critical thinking prompts with their classroom teacher. This is the original visual thinking questions. This is the format and the script. Teachers practice this to get the language exactly right. After my initial experience, I decided that special education needed a differentiated script so they would better access the critical thinking process. During the year, I experimented with the Gardner's enthusiastic encouragement and developed a new script and protocols. The original is what is going on in this picture. What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can we find? The teacher paraphrases after the student speaks, using slightly more sophisticated language for categories and connecting to other student statements. The teacher asks if they got it right and thanks the student. This is the classic VTS. This is my revised VTS. I spoke to a special education teacher who advised me to add bridges for students to be more easily accessible. I also changed the first question from what is going on in this picture to what do you see in this picture? This new opening gives students entry through a search for specific concrete content. So I start out every time, and I'll say it throughout the process, no wrong answers. And then I say, What do you see in the picture, which is more concrete and focused? Here I add a bridge if a student is having difficulty. Do you agree with the student X that this is a, what else do you see? And then what do you see that makes you say that it's, I'm asking for evidence. If a student is having difficulty adding evidence, I'm going to add a bridge. Do you think it's X because you, and I found that if I related to their home experience, their neighborhood, or just personal experience, a lot of times there was evidence. In my paraphrase, I'm always aware of using accessible vocabulary choice for categories. A minute. There. Pedagogy of positivity. This is something I developed to be used throughout the lesson along with the revised questions. I found that my students had a negative attitude about their own ideas. High energy response to any input encouraged more participation. I also used humor to diffuse anxiety and encourage participation. Students loved this. I also modulated my voice in different ways, like storytelling with exaggeration and sounds to activate their interest. So there's no wrong answer, constant high energy, extremely positive response to any answer, but I'm still asking for evidence based on the image and using humor and modulating my voice. Now, here are some images from the Gardner curriculum, and here are a few conversations implementing these concepts. While others discussed this Native American buffalo hide painting, Jay was silent. I offered a bridge. I said, Jay, do you agree with Z that this is a horse? Yes, Jay said, and it's red. He then went on to volunteer more information. I pointed to a specific horse, and he felt confident enough to say, no, you're wrong. That's not the one I meant. He showed me the one that he was talking about. He felt confident enough to do that. Once students started to feel safe, they developed ideas out loud. Looking at this Egyptian relief, JV found his own way to an understanding. It's like a graham cracker with a picture on it. Like graham crackers have animal pictures on them. It's shaped like a cracker, but it's cracked like a stone. I added a bridge for a silent student, D. D, do you agree with G that this is the sun? Yeah, it's the sun, and one person is bigger than the other. The big one is the dad. I asked for evidence. Dads are bigger, and there's little people on them. One is pointing. With the help of this simple bridge, he had so much more to say, including gender and gesture of figures. Here's another image from the Gardner curriculum. Some of these images, by the way, are new this year and are much more Black and brown inclusive. So they're really terrific. Looking at this picture, J.A. said, unsolicited, he's sleeping on his dad's shoulder. Maybe the dad is putting him to bed to go to sleep. When I asked for evidence, he looked frustrated, and I said, so you think it's time for bed, J.A.? Yeah, that's his bed, and I see his blankets. I gave a very enthusiastic response. A said, I can see trucks and words on the wall. I knew that A could read, so I asked him, can you read the words to us? And he read to us the words, knock, knock. And this started a big conversation about knock, knock jokes. And as a result, A told us a slightly gross knock, knock joke, which everyone participated in, and there was general laughter afterwards. In academic implementation of critical thinking, there are some examples. Would you rather give an answer with evidence? Mystery object, 3 clues and guess, but you have to give evidence. False fact, given 3 facts and choose which one is false and give evidence for why it's false. In one academic critical thinking exercise, students were asked, would you rather be Pooh or Tigger? EJ said he wanted to be Pooh because he likes honey. Pooh is eating honey in the picture. But he went further and he said he also wants to be Pooh because bears hibernate for the winter and I want to do that. The student cannot read, write, or do math, but he has extremely strong verbal skills. The teacher did not prompt him for evidence, and this is anecdotal evidence of an academic transfer of critical thinking from VTS to the classroom. Now, I've been told that this is actually data, that 1 through 4 is data, not anecdotal evidence. By March, 100% were able to give evidence based on what was in the picture or explain their source. Number 2, 60% gave evidence without being prompted. Number 3, 100% answered in full sentences. Number 4, 100% of students who never spoke in class actively participated in VTS, which was pretty amazing. And finally, for me, I felt in anecdotal evidence in visual arts projects, there was VTS aesthetic and critical thinking transference, which I'll show you now. Okay. I don't understand. There it is. Okay. Here we drew together all year. Of course, you can see these pictures are not high quality. I took them from my screen because we were remote. Because our creatures were fantasy-based, there couldn't be any judgment in terms of realism. Students used the materials they had, and I used lined paper and pen, so I would be with them. We started with simple shapes. Over time, the drawings increased in the number of steps and the complexity of line and color. D didn't participate in drawing at all in the beginning. He would sit in silence with his hood up. After some success in VTS, I was so excited to see that he drew this with me and participated every time after this. Here's another fantasy creature that we drew. We drew a phoenix. And these are, the one on the left to the right is where he's added things to the picture. You can see he's using line patterns, shape patterns, and he's doing some color mixing on the wing on the right that he has added himself. He asked me about, he said he wanted to show that the bird was an expression of love. It's not exactly how he said it, but we talked about what a heart stands for, and that's what he wanted to draw. Okay, this is JV's dragon, which is much more complex. He's adding much more complex pattern and independent aesthetic choices for color mixing and color placement. He is independently creating a narrative, activating the space, seeing the paper as a window around the dragon with clouds to show the dragon is flying in the sky. So that's a big aesthetic jump. This is Dee's dinosaur. Dee drew this dinosaur and independently chose to add many more spikes to the body. He felt the dinosaur was a dangerous fighter and needed more spikes. There it is. Okay. This is Jay's project in April. We made a self-portrait together starting with geometric shapes to build a basic figure. Jay and I discussed the uniform that he wears playing soccer, red and white striped shirt and black shorts, his haircut and skin color. We worked together to add these details, which he felt strongly about getting right. He also wanted to add the soccer ball. He is using critical thinking and art-making skills to express and define himself on the paper. Finally, I just want to say that it's all about the conversation in VTS. That's where the product really is in the discussion. I developed a special relationship with this class, and I will be sad to see many of them graduate this year. I've been invited to many basketball games and soccer games. As a result of my research this year, the Gardner Museum is implementing a differentiated VTS script for special education classes. Throughout the year, they were flexible, encouraging, enthusiastic, and always ready to implement my ideas for our many virtual field trips. They're also developing new assessments that are going to be all inclusive. VTS can enrich all special education arts programs, not just visual arts. You can find information about local and national VTS programs and much more on my information page. If you have any questions about my presentation or this process, please feel free to contact me anytime. And I just want to thank everyone for your attention today. Thank you very much.